Hi everyone, before we jump into our usual football pub chat nonsense, we've got some exciting news for you. We've teamed up with Northern Whisper Brewery as we want to give back to our listeners. As a Playing Out from the Bar listener, you can get 10% off on their website. Just search Northern Whisper, select the option to order online and enter code Playing Out from the Bar 10 to get your 10% off. Easy as that. What do you reckon, boys?
Superb, Trice. I mean, as we've talked about on this podcast before, many a time, you both know that I have quite a narrow taste in beer. I'm normally just flicking back between premium lagers, so I'm looking forward to giving this a go, and I hope the listeners take advantage and do the same.
Yeah, definitely the same for me as well. Feel like I've used this lockdown as an opportunity to broaden my horizons away from the Carlin and Fosters of the world and started to take on some more independence, and I know this is highly regarded from your neck of the woods, so I'll be sure to jump on it and continue ordering some beers in at home as the world returns to normal.
If you recommend it, Trice, then I'm confident you've got.
Goes without saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, before we head on, remember, please drink responsibly.
Hi, you're listening to Playing Out from the Bar. Please be aware this podcast contains strong language.
Hopefully, Jack, I might join the Google Meet eventually, but it's just not seeming to work for me.
I know, it just seems these days, mate, you've just become a black screen in my mind, just with your initials on. That's what you've become, unfortunately.
Does it just not connect properly?
It just says page unresponsive. You can wait for it to
really?
become responsive or exit the page.
Mate, we'll have a go at Zoom or something next time.
What browser are you working it through?
Chrome.
Oh, strange.
That is weird.
I can put on my CV like competent in Firefox. I can work my way around it. Never need a new
That's
job.
what potential employers are looking at. Not just he's not just an Internet Explorer man. He's got Google Chrome. He's got Firefox. We can put him on any browser and he'll get the job done. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the virtual bar. This is the Playing Out from the Bar podcast. I think we're the only football podcast this week that isn't doing some sort of end of season awards episode, but we will be reviewing the football of the last few weeks in our own way. I'm Jack Lacey, and I've been joined once again in the bar by Lewis Dawson and Lewis Trice. Evening, gents. To avoid any sort of indecision, I'll come to you first, Tricey. How have you been, mate?
Hi boys, yeah, good thanks. It's been a few weeks, hasn't it, since we've recorded. I think we're all a bit busy at the minute, but good news is I've had my first round of vaccinations today. Last minute appointment at Blackburn, got my name down, in and out, so yeah.
Did it
on
have
the vaccination train?
The last minute appointment have the thrill of like a last minute goal? Like, you know, you're just coming out of the centre and you're like, can't believe we've nicked that.
It did actually, yeah. It felt very rushed because we only saw the tweet at like 4:00 and the jab was in me by 5:30. So.
Deadline day last minute turnaround.
It was, yeah, driving down the M1 on a wingy style.
Brilliant, good stuff, mate. Dobby, welcome back to the virtual bar as well, to yourself. How are you doing?
Yes, good evening, gents. Nice to be back. Nice to be speaking to you again. It does feel like it. We've had a good international break, haven't we, behind us? So yeah, it's nice to be back, and I think we're all in probably good spirits now. The world's slowly and surely getting back to normal. On Saturday, actually, I saw my first hen from a hen party passed out, which made life feel at about 3 in the afternoon, I think it was, and the bouncer had to escort her out of the bar. So I was like, yeah, first Saturday back indoors and off like back to normal ways. So yeah, I'm good though. Thank you guys. It's nice to be back chatting football as well.
Yeah, it definitely is, mate. It does feel like a while actually since we've recorded an episode. I think it's just that sort of natural thing of unlockings happened and suddenly everyone's a little bit busier than they were back in the depths of the January lockdown. But yeah, good stuff. Before we dive into the episode tonight, has anyone got anything that they've been spotted on the social corner this week?
Yeah, I'll throw one in. From the FA Cup final, I don't know if you two saw it. it was a post like, at the start of lockdown when there weren't any traffics on the road and things like that, and it was nature is healing.
Yeah.
Well, someone tweeted nature is healing, and it was a Leicester fan caught on camera giving it 2 fingers to the Chelsea fans. It's just like, oh, it's good to be back. It's good to have her back in the stadium.
Yeah, it's really nice. It has been a long time, but just habits don't change.
Yeah.
Like it'll take a lot longer than a year and a half or however long it's been for them things to change. And I know we're going to get onto it shortly about the fans backing, but I thought the exact same the other day. It just like we'll talk about it later, but yeah, I saw that was very funny.
I mean, the other one I think you probably put it out before me, Tricey, but I actually saw it during the game as well, was from Newcastle's final home game, which also had fans back in, when a stray ball went out into one of the lower rows in the Gallagher end, and a fan leaped forward onto the seats that weren't meant to be used to enforce social distancing, leapt forward to head the ball back, which was just, and like sort of toppled down a few rows. Like that's just, it's something that until you see it, you don't realise how much you've missed it. It just takes you right back to how football was before the pandemic and what we need to get back to, really.
I agree with that, Jack. That was funny. That I think I've got a lot of questions. I mean, I don't think that's acceptable to do when there's people in the rows in front of you. It would hurt less probably with the people, but
that's it. Yeah, I suppose what's more like uncouth behaviour? Is it jumping over rows of other fans, some of whom might be like, I don't know, elderly or or have a coffee in their hands, or is it worse to do it on the seats that you're not meant to be touching to enforce social distancing, just collapsing over there? I haven't asked either, by the way. Has anyone got anything from the bar tonight to kick us off?
Yeah, I'm on the Vino. I'm on the red.
nice.
Yeah, midweek, back to back actually for me this week on midweek drinks, which is very unusual. But we had my brother around yesterday for some tea, unexpectedly hosting. So I had to crack a bottle of red, and then it's just one of those situations where there's like half-finished bottles, so you might as well kind of finish it, otherwise it's going to go to waste.
Yeah. Get it done. Good stuff, Dobbs. Tricey, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'm on a bit of a left field choice for me tonight. I'm on gin and tonic because I completely forgot to put any beers in the fridge. So yeah, but creeps round quick. We set a time for this, don't we? And then I soon realised, shit, I've not got any beer in. No cold ones, so I thought I'll just have a gin and tonic instead.
God, that gives the feel of a special episode.
Yeah,
just the fact you're having a gin and tonic. So that's a great way to sign off the season. I mean, I don't know why I've brought this up because disappointingly, I was out for a few beers at the pub last night, so I've had to have a night off. I'm on the elderflower cordial tonight, so it's not quite as exciting as your G&T, but yeah, good stuff. I mean, we should sort of probably move on to the main body of what we're going to talk about tonight, which was really, I suppose, just about how good it was to have fans back in stadiums. Obviously, last weekend and the round before in the Premier League, I think it was 10,000 was the maximum home fans each club could have. Some had obviously smaller attendances than that, but I mean, where do we start, boys? It's made such a massive difference, hasn't it? Just watching some on TV, I think it makes a huge difference. But Dobby, you yourself are actually one of the lucky few who's managed to experience it so far. So tell us about your weekend.
Yeah, obviously a couple of weeks back was made aware that we'd be allowed an opportunity to get in for the last game, which was great. But admittedly, I was kind of like, yeah, obviously I'd love to go, but it still seemed a bit of a strange one going back at a quarter of capacity. So I was kind of in the mindset of like, I could happily wait till the start of next season, but obviously I wouldn't pass up on the opportunity to go. So put our names in the ballot, me and my dad, and we got lucky. I think it worked out about 1 in 3 chance cross season tickets. So we did pretty well. And yeah, it was really nice. It was a nice day. It was obviously Sunday 4 o'clock kickoff. My dad came out. He travelled over from Scunthorpe, and he came over on the train. And we met in town at like midday. Went for a few beers. So that in itself was really nice. He's not been over here since we actually not been out over here since we moved, so it was a good opportunity. And then down to the ground, and traffic levels compared to normal were very manageable, very nice. Could get used to that side of things. No gridlock on the M621, so it was down to the ground in about 5 minutes in an Uber. And then it started to feel like a bit of reality hit a little bit. Like a bit of a buzz around the ground, even though it was obviously a limited capacity. There was still a lot of people around, a lot of club colours, people having drinks on the street, a bit of chanting. Even the half and half scarves were out. The salesmen, they don't miss a trick, do they? Even
with no away fans.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No pandemic's going to keep them away. So they were out. I think there's obviously people congregating who probably didn't have a ticket for the game, who just gone down. There seemed to be a big bit of commotion around the statue with a few flares and stuff going off, and that was nice buzz to it. And then you're going through the turnstiles rather than being, well, actually there was still sniffer dogs, but you just kind of were more concerned about your ID and proof of your health questionnaire that you had to do 24 hours prior, just so you could show them that you'd passed. And then into the ground, and no concourse in operation. Very sad. So no.
Oh really? That's
can be ripped off
no pre-match pint. But you could take your own.
That's essentially what you go for, isn't it, though, Dobby?
Exactly.
Concourse experience.
Yeah. So sadly not this time. But you could take your own refreshments if you wanted, which I thought was nice. But we didn't actually take any. Because I did walk up to the ground. I did have this moment of shit. Why didn't we just get a bottle of Coke and put a little bit of vodka in it? Because they're not going to know that's alcohol, and if they're letting you take food in and drinks in, then you've got away with it.
You can normally do that. Yeah, I've done that before. Just snuck in a hip flask for an evening game under the lights. I think it's.
So in the ground, nice. 30 minutes before, it was lovely to just walk in and see the players on the pitch. Very surreal, warming up. We bit of an atmosphere. Yeah, I thought my worry going into it was watching some of the games on TV, and I don't know if you guys will feel the same. We might even mention this, but some grounds seemed quite compact with fans and looked pretty good, as in it looked nice on the eye. Then there was other grounds where it still
they put them on the roof at Spurs pretty much, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. They did, didn't they? Yeah. And I was wondering, I don't know how the Leeds one's going to be. I don't know if it's going to look really sparse and we're just kind of dotted around, or if it'll be all nice, tightly packed in. And it did feel quite packed in, I thought, which was nice, and it did help, I think, generate a bit of an atmosphere. So it kind of there was a half decent atmosphere, which was good. And I think all in all, though, it was a really nice day. It was nice to get back, and what I quite liked about it was my worry was that my first Premier League game back at Leeds was going to be this game against West Brom, very underwhelming, but because we were our season was done and they were down, and we were saying goodbye to two club legends, it just felt very testimonially and very pre-seasony. But I quite liked that, because it just felt like a bit of a celebration of these two players, having fans back in. The players were just enjoying it. It was a bit of a piss about for them. It was just good fun for the fans, and it made me feel like I've really enjoyed being back, but I still feel that first game of next season will feel like that first competitive game back in the Premier League, full house. So I don't feel like I had that experience taken away from me. I felt like it was its own unique experience that didn't necessarily feel like a Premier League match, if that makes sense to you guys.
Yeah, as well, you say your season was finished, but I suppose it was a celebration of a good season as well for the fans that were there. It's not like you've had a bad season, you've finished in the top half of the table, which is a really, really good season for Leeds. So it looked like from what I saw of the videos that you've posted and photos of the Leeds game, it looked like your crowd was better set out than you say some of the other crowds. Like you say, at Tottenham, it was almost I almost thought the flags were going to be the flags that they've been putting on the seats throughout lockdown pandemic football. I thought they were going to be having priority over the fans. That's almost how it appeared at one point. And like,
Gotta get the sponsors ticked
It's-
off.
honestly,
I think that was
wouldn't
genuinely it,
surprise me
wasn't
about
it?
their
Wasn't that? I
commercial-
think that's what they did. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think I heard that. So that's very Tottenham, isn't it? That's Daniel Levy written all over
is,
it. Like
isn't it?
fans only paying us 60 quid a ticket, whereas these sponsors are paying us however many thousands. So yeah, you know what? We'll prioritise them.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to the Leeds one quickly and just kind of touching back to what we mentioned at the beginning with that the Leicester fan flicking the V's at the Chelsea fans. In the first 30 seconds, Liam Cooper went shoulder to shoulder with their winger to kind of like edge the ball out for a goal kick, and put like an arm across him, and then that in response, their player was down for like 2 or 3 minutes. Physio had to come on. He ended up getting yellow cards because apparently it was like an elbow, like outswung arm. But that within 30 seconds obviously provoked the crowd to like wank a chance to the guy on the floor. The ref
Nature
was
is healing.
yeah, the ref was getting it from the second minute, like the 30 seconds, and I was like, yeah, I've completely forgot about that. And even though it was an absolute like nothing game and it was just a real celebration, there was just the ref did have a bit of a shocker, but there was just so much hostility towards him. I just completely forgot. Like, and there was just it was like Conor Gallagher there, who plays for West Brom, obviously is a half decent footballer, but he seemed to be that one player who was kind of in the middle of everything. And there's a guy behind me who kept like referring to him as like Robbie Savage because of his like long yellow hair, and yeah, it was just like the old habits completely returned, which did really add to it. And there was even some nice like funny chants in there as well, like your support is fucking shit.
Yeah, I had that as well.
Nice rubbing it into the West Brom team for going down. Like whenever they did something terrible, like that's why you're going down. So it was good fun. It did remind you of just some of the like simple things of football that you miss. So absolutely, yeah, really great day. Really loved it, especially the lack of traffic getting to the ground.
Dobby, one sound I'm looking forward to hearing again in obviously the goals and stuff, but I can't imagine Scunny are going to score too many of them in the future. Just the appreciation clap when the centre half nods it back to the keeper. Did that happen at Ellen Road? Like, it's a great sort of.
That's such a universal football. Like
Yeah,
every stadium does that. Well done.
No, it sadly it didn't, which was a real shame. But yeah, that is the most universally accepted.
That's the thing now, the Premier League, they control it, they bring it down and take a touch and turn and play, whereas like just nod it back to the keeper.
The other one tries. It's not as universally loved as nodding it back to the keeper, but it gets a similar smattering of applause. And it always baffles me. Is like a midfielder receiving the ball and just playing a really basic switch pass over to the other flank. Like for some reason, that always seems to just get like crowds like seal of approval, even though it's probably the easiest skill for a professional footballer to pull off. Like they've often got loads of time and space as well, but doesn't change anything. Yeah, no, that's good to hear, Dobbs. I'd be disappointed if any like of those, you know, like those chants that are just like that all the 92 clubs have probably pulled off at some stage. I'd be gutted if they left the game. I think that's like a fabric of fans being back, and we really noticed that last week.
Yeah, it's. I agree with you. Like even watching this stuff on TV, it did instantly become a lot more easier to watch, and then I think it was like watching Match of the Day as well over the weekend, and it was nice to see all, obviously 10 games being aired and all of them having crowds, and then at the end they showed the goal of the season clips, obviously none of them having a crowd, and even like going from watching Match of the Day with all the crowd, like with the crowds in, to then watching the goal of the season clip at the end, I was like, oh shit, that's so weird, like as if we'd sat and watched that for a year and a half.
Yeah, it's kind of good that it already seems odd. I mean, at Newcastle for our first game back, the effect of like the empty stadium wasn't so bad because I think they basically penned all the fans into the smaller stands at the bottom, which is probably the best thing to do. So a lot of people who were there were saying like 10,000 fans, but it sounded like a lot more because they managed to sort of bring everyone together. And obviously I think it's going to be a good atmosphere. People there are going to be up for making a good atmosphere of it when they've not been to a game in over a year. So
The one thing I must admit coming away, it made me realise I've not stood up for 90 minutes in a long time. Like my legs were in bits. I seized up at half time, like trying to sit down for 15 minutes. It was awful. I need to put some time in during the summer just to stand somewhere for like 90 minutes just to get myself used to it.
I mean, even if you have to sit down, often those seats can be quite unforgiving at football stadiums as well.
Yeah.
That's like you can, especially if you're penned in. Old Trafford in particular was always bad for me, and me and legroom at Old Trafford, it never went well.
Yeah. Football stadiums still are like catering for the size of people like 50 years ago, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, especially like the ones we probably go to. Imagine if you go to Spurs or Arsenal, then you'll be 6'8" and you'll be fine.
You'll be all right, yeah.
I know what you mean. Don't cater for anybody above like 6 foot.
No, that's what if I was a Manchester United fan, that would be my key issue of any redevelopment at Old Trafford. Get the legroom up to standard first. I mean, it wasn't the only game that we had fans back in, because the week before, obviously, we had, which it was really good to see a full FA Cup final or partly full FA Cup final. I think that was kind of the first sort of moment where you thought, things are getting a little bit back to normal now on the football side. So, I mean, Tricey, do you want to introduce this next bit? Because we've had a bit of correspondence from that game, haven't we?
Yeah, so my uncle is a Leicester fan, and I contacted him and said, because he went to the game, he went to the cup final, and just said, like, gives a bit of your thoughts on the day and stuff like that, and he's bullet pointed like a few things. He said, I'm not one for words really, and I don't really know the best way to present this. It was an unreal day. Just a couple of things I remembered though, because obviously he was probably canned up at this point. So his first point: there's socially distanced coaches as an away fan are really comfortable.
Nice.
Because they have to socially. I suppose they would have had to.
Socially distanced on the coach.
I didn't think about that.
But this actually is linked to something that we've mentioned in a previous episode. He said there was a pop-up fan zone outside Sainsbury's. Smashing idea.
Nice.
Is this bringing back for the first time since the Asda, the pop-up Asda in Lee all those years ago? Yeah,
this is the pop-up fan zones outside supermarkets for away fans. It seems that was the case in Leicester. Third point: you can't sing with a mask on, so a bit good about that. And fourth point: avoiding human contact is impossible after your centre midfielder smashes one in from 30 yards in the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
Wembley's the best place to win a football match. Agree. The FA Cup final should be the last game of the season. He's already a bit gutted about missing out on the Champions League.
Yeah.
But he says you can't, he gave quite a good quote actually. He said, like, I'll never remember a draw in Copenhagen or stuff like that. I'll always remember a cup final win.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one actually.
That's very true. The other thing is, I mean, Leicester hadn't won an FA Cup, had they, before in their history, and like they've played in the Champions League. So I agree that I have to put the cup final on the last day of the season, and then, I mean, it just makes such a difference. Your season, like, I felt sorry for that year when Wigan won it, and then they were relegated like a few days later. It's like they can't fully enjoy their achievement. But yeah, no, that's great. Is there anything else to try? So.
He did sort of say, disclaimer, I didn't do everything I was supposed to do. Me and the lads managed to sneak some booze onto the bus down to London.
I mean, that's good to it. It shows you that things are getting... That really isn't... It wouldn't be the same, would it? It wouldn't be a normal trip down to Wembley if it wasn't a boozy coach. I'm surprised it was a socially distanced coach, but I suppose it had to be. That's just... I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's just nice to see stories of people going to games again, and I think that FA Cup final for me was because I've not really watched much Premier League this season really. I don't seem to get the time to watch the games on Sky and BT, but the FA Cup final I did, and the fact that it was on like BBC as well, I just felt it was a really good way to cap off the. I know it's still going ahead, but like cap off the pandemic times and sort of remind us that fans are coming back in and football's better with fans in the stadiums.
Definitely, yeah. Just the last few minutes of that game when Chelsea were pushing for an equaliser, you had all those emotions that hadn't been there for a year. Like it's just even just watching on TV, you could feel the tension, and now like the Leicester defenders were getting urged on to get out and stuff by their fans. It's little things like that just make such a difference, I think, and yeah, you really do miss it when they're not there.
The reaction of Leicester fans if that does happen. That's
Tielemans lining one up. What a goal! What a brilliant goal by Yuri Tielemans, and the Leicester City fans go absolutely potty. They set history. One of the great FA Cup final goals there.
Just talking of correspondence as well, we had a good sort of piece from a listener, Steve, who sent us a really good clip on email. So I think he's a United fan, obviously went to Old Trafford to watch United Fulham, I think it was, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was just nice to hear his thoughts on it. So, Jackie, you got that clip, mate? Just give it a listen.
Let's have a listen, boys.
Evening, lads. Hope you're well. Great podcast, by the way. Thanks for the old discount for the Northern Brewing. Got that as well. Enjoyed those. So went back to Old Trafford last week. One of the lucky 10,000 to get a ticket. Thought I'd just share a little bit of the experience with you. It's been a long while. Been over 12 months since we've been there, and I'll be honest. Sometimes through the old lockdown, it was not really missing it too much. And then you watch a game and they score, and you want to get back again. And the longer it went on, the more I wanted to get back into it. So we entered the ballot for United. Obviously, there's a heck of a lot of season ticket holders, so very fortunate to be one of 10,000, and off we went. Family day out again. My dad didn't fancy it. He's 76, my dad, so he thought he'd just leave it a little bit longer. But I went with my son, Nathan, two nephews, Adam and Joe. So it's always a family day out, which is fantastic, and especially at these times, you got to cherish them. So we got ourselves down there. Had to be in an hour before the game. I've not done that since I was about 14. We normally rock up last minute, had a few beers, and in we pop. So before we were back an hour away. Driving down there. 52 I am, 52, and I got butterflies. I was all excited and giddy. Get back in there. It's amazing, yeah. Driving down there and said to the lads, I'm all excited. I've got butterflies, and you walk up and the crowds are there, and yeah, there's not 75,000, but there's still plenty there. Bit of a different experience walking around the ground. There are a lot of police there, obviously, with the recent stuff that's gone on at Old Trafford. Barriers around there, the photo IDs, you had to take that. So we threw all those, and then we're in the turnstiles. And off we go. Off we go. We walk in, get ourselves a little drink, and up to the seats, and just walking up there, and you walk in and you see it in front of you again, and it brings it all back, and it's like you've never been away, really. It's never been away, and you're down there. You're not your seats as you normally are, because they had to move us all around with these social distancing things. But we were in, and about 45 minutes before the game. In the end of it, by the time we got in there, and everyone's there. Everyone's singing. You see people that you know and seen. Give them a quick wave, and we're all singing. And it was fantastic. It was fantastic just to be in there and see everyone around. And you wouldn't have thought there was only 10,000 in that stadium before the kick-off, during the match and everything. And then it happened, didn't it? It happened. Something that we all wanted. Cavani. What a strike. What a strike. Offside. Nah, we're not having that one. You knew. Time seemed to slow. He slowed his run up to the ball, so you knew exactly what he was going to do. Could he do it? Oh, by the way, could he? Hey, absolutely fantastic. And just the crowd erupted. It was it was absolutely brilliant. And then we played first half. It was great. Atmosphere was fantastic. Played really well. A bit duller in the second half. Obviously, we'd not got a great deal to play for. Second was already there. Another cup final to think about. And I'll be honest, it did go a little bit quiet in the second half, but it was still, they were still singing all the way around the ground, all the way around. Disappointing to concede the goal equaliser for them. We should have won it, but hey ho, these things happen. But you know what? We were back. We were in there. We watched it. One of the 10,000. Fantastic.
That's really that's a great message from Steve there. I think Trice just kind of gives you sums up really what it's like to be back there. I'm already jealous listening to that and listening to what Dobby was saying earlier. I just can't wait now to get back in the ground. I'm just like itching to go. And even though it's not full capacity at the moment, it doesn't seem to matter. I think that's the recurring theme. People just were happy for anything at the moment, and anything's better than behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Jack. Definitely, like, fan envy at the minute. We've had some good correspondence from, like, Steve and my uncle sending us a few texts, and obviously Dobby going. It just makes me want to go to a game as a fan again and be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely. Can't wait. Sorry, Dobby.
Yeah, that was a great clip. I thought that we should get Steve on more often for that enthusiasm.
Definitely, yeah.
Pick up a few viewers with Steve.
Listeners.
So yeah, first thank you, Steve, and then I think he summed it up perfectly, and it really just aligns with a lot of my thoughts as well. I thought it's nice how he says I can't remember what he said he was, but in his 50s, and that feeling of butterflies, and yeah, completely get that. I felt the exact same as soon as we pulled up in the taxi and got out, and like I said, it's you just all of a sudden see people, the colours, like people actually going towards the ground, and the excitement and buzz on everyone's face, and it's just that emotional realisation of like, yeah, shit, look what, like we've all been literally locked away for like 12 months, 18 months, and we've not been able to come down here and enjoy it, and it was just such a nice feeling, and it was proper bite in your tongue moments, just like holding back tears at the end. It was just that emotional, and it was just so nice. And yeah, 10,000 out of 75,000 or 10,000 at Ellen Road out of 40, it didn't matter. It was just still felt really nice. But yeah, brilliant. I thought that was such a great clip. And
yeah, cheers. We can't thank you enough, Steve. That's really, we really appreciate you getting in touch with that one. And yeah, what also stood out for me is that just the family side of it. All right, he said his dad, didn't want to go back yet. He was in his 70s, but for everyone, it's just like, it's that connection, isn't it? It's that bringing generations together, I think, that we sometimes underestimate about football and forget about. And without it, for the past year, a lot of people haven't seen their family members as much as they normally would because they see them at the football. Which, yeah, it's just, I think that perfectly, I agree with you, Dobbs, it perfectly summed up everything about how it is to get back. And I can't wait for one, definitely.
Yeah, I like how he had to be in the ground as well an hour before kick-off.
Yeah.
I would watch all the warm-ups, see the mascot, whatever the devil, the guy dressed up as a devil, probably do about 8 laps of the pitch, doing his waves.
I think
Steve waving to him every time he came past.
I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but there was a game I was in the ground like virtually an hour before kick-off. The day we were, it was Survival Sunday, and we had to win to stay in the Premier League.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I always remember it was a weird experience just because the stadium announcer still the DJ guy still announced the teams an hour before kickoff, even though like no one was in the stadium, and he was still running through the team news, which always surprised me. But yeah.
Oh, great! Yeah, that's the exact same. I did think the same actually on Sunday. I was thinking, I've not been in this early in a long time. Like, just stood there watching them just kick balls to each other.
You're normally an after kick-off, Dobby. Like, just flailing to get to your seat.
Dobby comes out.
I like to get in for the first verse of Match On Together, no earlier.
Oh, love it. Brilliant. Yeah. So, as I said earlier, we haven't got any end of season awards. We haven't organised any, but being the John Humphreys of Playing Out from the Bar himself, Lewis Trice has organised an end of season quiz for us, which we're going to have a go at now. Tricey, do you want to explain what we're doing? Because I didn't even know you'd organised this, mate. So
Okay, yeah, cards
I'm
close to
looking
the
forward to
chest.
the
I
surprise.
thought it's been a while. Even the past few episodes, we didn't get a quiz in, did we? So
No.
it's nice to have a bit of trivia for you two and to go head to head. Basically, 7 questions about football in this country in the past season, really. Fastest finger first, get your answer in. Dobby, if you want to do your budgie noise as your caller again, you're welcome to. I know you've done that previously.
Nice. Yeah, go
Jack,
on.
if you just want to raise your hand
I
or
can't
shout.
compete with that, so I'll just if I'll raise my hand as a mute.
I feel like we're definitely keeping waving the flag for quizzes post COVID.
Yeah.
Don't let the quiz die.
Yeah, do
Yeah,
not let this
definitely.
quiz
Just-
culture die.
Yeah, it's just something different, isn't it, for us? So, are you ready? 7 questions.
Fastest finger. Okay.
Yeah, and also housekeeping. If you get it wrong, obviously
Pass
it'll be
those
passed
over.
over. Yeah,
Can I just practice the budgie call? Make sure I can still do it.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
go on.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Bit dry mouthed, 1 minute.
have a drink.
Have that red wine.
Just dry me up even more. I need to go get some water. So. Can you hear that?
That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
That was. You've
Like
still
it was
got
in the
it.
room,
You don't
wasn't
lose
it?
it.
Okay, so who conceded the most goals in the Premier League this season? Dobby.
Did you get me? Yeah. That'll be West Bromwich Albion.
Correct, yes. Point to you. Question 2. Name the 3 teams promoted from League 2.
Automatics.
Yeah.
Cheltenham, Cambridge, and Bolton.
Oh, he's schooling you, Jack.
He's on the money, isn't he, tonight?
Question 3. Who scored the most goals as a team in the Championship?
It's got to be Norwich.
Dobby, that's the incorrect answer. Passes over to Jack with a lifeline.
I believe that it's. There's 2 I'm torn between. I'm going to go Watford.
Your other suggestion would have been?
My other suggestion would have been Brentford.
Yeah, Brentford were the top goal scorers in the Championship this season.
Gutty.
Question 4. Who won League 1?
Bzz.
Ooh,
Jack. I'm giving that Jack, Dobby.
Go on.
I've buzzed and then I've actually. Hull City, sorry.
Yeah.
I nearly forgot there. I was just excited to buzz in.
2-1. This one will make you think a little bit more of this. 36 years, 2 months and 29 days, the oldest goal scorer in the Premier League this season.
Oh,
Who was
shit.
he?
Oh, that's good.
I accidentally went then.
That's a good
when
question.
I didn't know. I stopped halfway through.
36.
Do you want to look?
How many
a little
months, Trice? 36 and how many months?
Yeah.
2 months and 29 days, yeah.
2
Thanks
months
for all the
ago.
difference.
Yeah, from 6 months. That's like.
36 Premier League.
I know this is wrong. But
Scored a goal.
I'm going to guess. Can I? Bzz,
Go on, Jack.
I'm going to go Billy Sharp.
No,
Oh, he was third. He was third on the list.
I knew that was wrong.
Dorse, have you got a suggestion? If not, I'll give you a clue between you both and let Jack rebuzz again. Quite a tricky question, this.
Great question.
I definitely know who it is, which is. Oh, it's got. Is it Phil Jagielka?
No. So I'll give you a clue. You're in the right position on the pitch.
Oh, okay.
Who did you say, Jack?
I went Billy Sharp, but if you're in the
So,
right position,
I'm
then-
in the right position,
Yeah.
Trice.
Yeah, and it's also his first season in the Premier League.
Oh shit! I'll give it, won't it? Dobby's gonna get it now.
First season in the Premier League at 36. Christ. 36. Oh, come on.
I'll put you out your misery.
No,
Draw.
don't.
All right, do you want to come back to that one if you can think of that one then?
Yeah, we're not passing that. We'll know that.
I'll give you the next question, and then that one can stay in your mind as
Yeah.
maybe a bit of a decider. So 2-1 still, and then question 6. Who would Gary Neville rather watch over Spurs and Arsenal in the European Super League? Go on, Jack.
The champions of San Marino.
Yes, 2-2.
Good one, Jack. Nice.
Question 7. Who was the first Premier League manager to be sacked?
Did you get me?
Dobby.
Chris Wilder?
No,
Oh, shit.
close.
Oh,
Sorry, I just need a second and I'll get this. Hold on.
I know it.
For the listeners, Jack is currently deep in thought on Zoom.
I've gone completely blank.
Trice, how long's he got? Come on.
No, hold on.
Got to call time now.
Right, okay. Bzz, I'm
Go,
going Slaven Bilic.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a joke. He had
it-
about 20 seconds then.
It was very
He could have
late.
he could have googled that 3 times over.
I can see his hands on. I can see his hands on Zoom.
I just remembered it because it was very late for a first sacking of the season. I thought who's got sacked in like December time. Although I suppose we started the season later as well. But anyway.
Oh, that's a joke.
So, final one then. The oldest player to score in the Premier League this season. Do you think you can get close to that, you two?
Is that the last question? All right.
Yeah, we're only 7. Quick fire this week.
I thought we've only had 5 though so far.
No.
Well, I've miscounted. All right. It's 36 years old, and he's a centre back.
Yeah. Do you want me to drill? I can give you a real.
And his
Another
first
ob-
season in the Premier League.
Yes.
That's incredibly weird. That question. That's like a great question.
This is the type of thing Jack would ask on a night out, famously on a night.
It'll really annoy me. I'll be pestering everyone with this for weeks afterwards.
I'm going to put you out your misery. You're both struggling, I can see.
Go on, mate. Go on. You
No.
go. Dobby,
The
Dobby's
tantrum is coming, I think.
Dobby's making like the issue is Dobby is desperate to get this right, but he doesn't realise he doesn't recognise whether it's good air or not to just have him thinking for 5 minutes.
Yeah, we might have to put some jingles in.
I'll have to edit it.
Dobby thinks, yeah. Thiago Silva. There you go.
Oh,
Of course, yeah.
Great question
Shit.
though.
Oldest
I honestly,
player to score.
you know what? I wouldn't have got that because in my mind I just can't. I can't vision him scoring a goal. I can't
Yeah.
even see
I was-
it in my mind. Him
Yeah.
scoring. I'm sure he has, but I
Yeah,
just
I
can't
think-
remember.
He
I
scored
think- I
around
don't think I'd
Christmas
have got
time against
Yeah.
West Ham, I think it was.
I was thinking Fernandinho for ages because he's about 35, isn't he?
Yeah,
And
he's
obviously he
old
said
as well,
first
mate.
season in the Premier League, so it couldn't have been him.
I went down the road of like not obviously I knew I was wrong with Billy Sharp, but like because of the position.
He was third
like
on the list.
like a championship player who played football league for years and then finally got into the Premier League. But yeah,
Second on the list was Gary Cahill. I thought he might have
yeah.
popped up.
Oh wow,
Cahill.
yeah.
He scored
Wow.
lots. Yeah. Oh, that's good question. That Trice.
Yeah, that was a good question.
Bit of trivia for you.
Nice.
Jack, I've actually got a question for you, actually, unrelated. Who did you vote for in your football writers thing of the year?
Oh yeah,
In
so
your
I,
awards thing?
So I, despite being
Tactical
sent the email a day before, being informed that Ruben Diaz had won the award, which I graciously thought, yeah, he's deserving winner. I went for Kevin De Bruyne this year.
Wait. So you were told to vote after the?
No, sorry. After the voting was completed, we just got we got emailed before it went sort of public, if you know what I mean.
Right. Okay.
But I mean, I'm not sure. Like, I'm sure Ruben Diaz isn't going to lose any sleep over the fact that I didn't vote for him as Football Writers Player of the Year. I'm sure he'll survive. But yeah, I was torn between Gundogan, De Bruyne, and Diaz. I think have all had like an impact at
Solid
City this year.
choices.
It's been a weird year, and it's like City have kind of started poorly, then absolutely romped to the league, and were kind of just quietly going about their business. But every time I watched them, I thought those three were pretty stand out. Bruno Fernandes, I thought, was the other one who's had quite a good season. But
Yeah.
who was your player of the year? Do you think?
I don't want to get into awards, really.
Got
but
to be
I think I
Stuart
would-
Dallas, to be fair.
God's
In all honesty.
Just for that goal at City, just for that winner at City alone.
He got 77% of the votes in the Leeds United Player of the Year, and he's played in about 7 different positions, everywhere other than centre back and in goal. Pretty much, he's played. So, like,
I knew you'd pick
for-
a Leeds
for-
player.
For me, you can't look beyond Stuart Dallas at all.
You know what though? You've reminded me of something there, Dobby. I wondered at like top flight clubs if they have the clubs that have the Players Player of the Year award. Does the sort of strategic internal voting that goes on? I know it goes on at my club because it's been the discussion of our pub visits after games recently. That some people, and they know who they are tactically voting and not voting other people they would see as their rivals for the award. I wonder if that sort of thing goes on at
Like players kind of votes.
Yeah, like
so
you get like free. At our club, we get like free votes and top three, and I just wonder if that sort of thing goes on in the dressing rooms of like Leeds and Manchester City.
Well, Stuart Dallas did win Players Player as well, so there must have been everyone's pretty united on that. But I'd like to think that someone was trying to, like tactically vote to put their name.
A bit like
forward.
Eurovision, like a really dodgy player who'd only had a handful of sub appearances comes third.
Yeah, no, I like that idea. I think I'd take that approach if I had a half decent season.
Yeah.
If I was on the short list, I'd be voting for the other weakest person on there.
Without getting too sidetracked, that does happen on like the Ballon d'Or list, doesn't it? Messi never votes for Ronaldo, and Ronaldo never votes for Messi.
That's true. So petty. Like, I'd like to just get them round the table before the end of their careers and just say, lads, just vote for each other this year. You've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, that's. I like some tactical voting in the football world. Protest votes.
Good to see. Yeah, maybe I'm just too obsessed with the aftermath of Eurovision at the weekend. Tricey, who would you go for then? Tricey is your player of the year, did you say?
I think I would have gone Harry Kane, top goal scorer, top assist. I think.
Yeah.
In the shit Spurs team.
Hard to beat. That is true. Yeah.
Not Patrick Bamford.
Fucking hell.
Are
there any other Leeds players you want to plug before we...
I was going to say, Dobby, you must have been... were you hurt at all that Patrick didn't make the Gareth Southgate's initial squad? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah and no is probably the answer, if that's a fair answer.
Yeah.
Like all this season, I've always kind of been in the mindset of like, I just never saw Bamford as being an international striker, and it's like when you compare him to the likes of Kane, and it just feels like there is a huge kind of gulfing class there. So it felt very strange that you'd have him almost like playing second fiddle. But then when it came to yesterday, and I saw, or whenever it was, and I saw that Ollie Watkins had been picked, it was like a 33-man squad, and I know you only technically probably need 3 out-and-out centre forwards in that. You don't need to put a fourth in, especially when none of them have got any more outstanding games to play in them 3 strikers.
Yeah.
I was just like, but for the second half of the season, like Everton finished below Leeds in the end, and Calvert-Lewin went absolutely kind of missing. Everton went missing, and he in his all-round game, I think you can't compare it to Bamford's, but at the same time you can't compare the style of players probably. But I just kind of was reflecting on that a little bit and thinking of Calvert-Lewin's second half of the season and Everton's, and how they've just gone absolutely appalling. And then also thinking of Watkins, I think is such a good promising young striker, and he has been for like years since Exeter, and then he got his move to Brentford, and he's adapted well to the Premier League. But again, I don't see enough of him firsthand, and I'm not disputing that he's a great striker. But I did just feel like I feel like just a bit bad, because this is Bamford's one chance, I feel, of a major tournament, and what else could he have done really in that Premier League season? Because I think behind Kane, what did he get, like 17 goals, and I can't remember however many assists in the end. So as English strikers go, statistically, he definitely was the second best, and it's just that shame that for him it's like he genuinely couldn't have done anything more, and you just wish that he'd had that opportunity. But yeah, I mean, the longevity, when you look at it in the long term, you think Watkins could just be in the camp this time round, and then feature a bit more strongly in the next tournaments. You can definitely see he's got that promise. But I don't know, Southgate, I think, said a couple of times he'll pick players on form over like just kind of like preference, and I don't know, I do feel like that's maybe going to go out the window a little bit with this selection coming up. I think he's had it set in stone now for the last 3 months what he's going to do, and it's not. I can't see him budging from that too much.
I never mind too much when managers, there's often a clamour for England manager particularly. It's like that everyone should be picked entirely on their club form, but that always, to me, that doesn't make a great deal of sense a lot of the time, because like you could be in a very one of your top class players could be in like a bit like with Trent Alexander-Arnold, like he went in through like a 2-month bad spell. Does that mean that therefore like 3 years or 2 years between tournaments of like overall really good form playing for a top class side, does that all go out the window? And it's like these are the reasons why back in 2012 people were demanding Grant Holt was called up to the England squad. Like we shouldn't forget that.
I think just to quickly round off for me on this one, sorry if I'm rambling a little bit, but like, I know I picked out Calvert-Lewin as saying like Everton's poor second half of the season and his kind of drop in form, but on the other hand, he's been in that England squad several times now. He's featured several times, and like within that system that obviously Southgate was working on in preparation for the tournament, and I do feel it would have been quite like rash to kind of drop him from the situation. I never would have probably expected Bamford to go in and replace him, just because I think, like we say, Calvert-Lewin has had that experience and hasn't done anything on international level to ever think that he can't cope at international level. I think he's proven that he can. So I'm not at all saying, Calvert-Lewin's had a bit of a drop in form. Everton haven't performed, so he needs to not go, because quite the contrary. I think it was more the Watkins and Bamford and just having that soft spot really for him. So that's where it came down to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but Luke Ayling not being there on the other hand's an absolute farce.
Yeah, definitely. I agree on. It's not like England have got any other good right backs either.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just glad to see Graham Jones get a call up. The Newcastle first team coach has been added to the backroom staff. That's all we've got to cling on to these days at Newcastle. No chance of a player getting called up, just the first team coach. He's been a big part of our turnaround in form. And if you see someone on the touchline who's stood in front of Gareth at the Euros, and Southgate's just looking a bit miffed at him, like he's giving out the majority of the instructions, well, that man will be Graham Jones, because we've had that scene at Newcastle for the last few months.
The idea of a coach getting called up is so random. Like,
imagine if they called up every the best kit man in the country was getting the call up.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's good to see. I mean, this has actually sort of brought me on nicely to what I wanted to just mention before we leave the bar tonight, which was just sort of our plans for Euro 2021 or Euro 2020 as it's still known, really. But we're gonna be trying to put out a few episodes during the tournament, aren't we, boys? Perhaps a bit of a different look at how things are going. Maybe talk to some fans from some of the lesser known countries from our point of view, from an English point of view, in the tournament, who perhaps you might not have noticed as much in the build up. So yeah, a good few things to come from us, hopefully. I mean, yeah, the squad announcement was always a bit weird. Like, there's always like just one player who just comes from nowhere. And obviously, I know, Dobby, you know a lot about Ben White from his time at Leeds, but like he was the one I thought this year. It's like it's just sort of, where's he come from? But it's like it reminded me of in 2006 when Theo Walcott got called up and he was just on Southampton's books as championship, and it was like, what the fuck was that all about? Why did
Jermaine Defoe must have been,
oh my god,
furious with Sven there.
Yeah, it's a great point, Troy.
Sven's line at that time was like, he would have done more in training with Arsenal, playing against like Colo Touré and Sol Campbell and Arsenal's back four then, than what any other striker in the Premier League would have been doing. And what Defoe must have been thinking, man, to miss out on that situation.
The thing I wanted to mention about it as well that often gets overlooked is Sven fucked up double on that tournament because he didn't have the bottle to not take. And I don't think Sven was a bad England manager overall, but he didn't have the bottle to not take Rooney and Owen because neither of them were fit. So he took two unfit strikers, and then as one of his two backup strikers took a player who'd never played in the Premier League over Jermaine Defoe, who must have been like 50 Premier League goals by that time, I'd have thought, or around there.
Yeah, that is crazy thinking back to it.
Yeah.
Just on the one past few days, though, I think, I don't know, other than there weren't really many players I thought he's missed out. Like I know it's a provisional 33, and he's got to trim that down to 26, and usually 23, so there's 3 extra in there anyway. But It was maybe only like Maddison, who I thought was a bit unlucky to miss out, but he didn't even start for Leicester in the past few games. So
yeah, a few Leicester fans have been saying he's been lucky to get a look in for them recently when he has played. So yeah,
Second half of the season has been
fizzled, hasn't he?
not there at all, really, has it? It's not really. It showed stints this season, but he's not played enough.
I think his other problem might be that there's like some very other good. We are still quite an unbalanced team out because like there's some very good options in like a central attacking midfielder roles, number 10, old school number 10 roles. Like Maddison has got a lot of competition there, but then you look at our centre halves after John Stones and Harry Maguire, and Maguire's not even fit by the look of it. I don't even think he'll play now. It's like you do feel a little bit unbalanced, but
it's a big blow. Harry Maguire not going, I think.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we're really relying on
like
that Stones Maguire partnership to kind of be there. I think without that, it does, like, not to disrespect any fans of like Wolves or Aston Villa, but it is just almost like you'd think the same if Kane got injured, but you just think are they centre backs who are going to win your European Championships? Like,
it's unlikely.
I don't think so. They're not going to win your European football, really. Like,
No.
So it does feel a little bit like that.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. But having said that all, it's definitely coming home, and and we're hopefully going to be producing a few special episodes while the tournament's ongoing. I mean, hopefully, COVID permitting, I'm going to get some fixtures. Managed to get a few tickets in the ballot, so I'm looking forward to that. Tricey, hopefully you're going to get Alfie in some sort of like Paul the Octopus role that we've talked about previously. I'm hoping that you're going to bring that to fruition for this tournament.
Yeah, that will happen. Just need to think of the best way to do that, really. We'll make our own octopus, yeah, definitely. That's something we'll do. Get him predicting games.
Yeah. Love that. And I think we're also going to look at setting up a fantasy league as well, which hopefully some of our listeners can get in touch with. Maybe even the ones who are listening out in Canada and Singapore might get in touch with that. So that'd be nice.
Just on fantasy football, sorry, boys. Just wanted to announce our league that we started at the start of the year is obviously finished now. So
did we have a league in fantasy football?
We did, yeah. We've got.
Well, because Dobby didn't have a team.
We had about 30 in it actually, but if you, the winner is called Rob, I think. Rob, get in touch with us because we've got.
Is there a Rob in the audience?
I'm getting the word Rob. Yeah.
What's his username, Trash? Is it like Rob123? You know, Rob34 or something?
This is the thing. I'm gonna need some proof of him because I just don't want loads of people sabotaging this podcast. Hi, my name's Rob.
Rob, in game week 4, who was your highest scoring player?
Oh, that's a good filter, that, Dobby. I'm going to use things like that, definitely. So, playing out from the bar, Rob Isles won our league by 40 points in the end. So,
nice.
40 points.
Rob, we've got a few beers for you if you get in touch with us.
I bet he gave the subs a run out in his last game. 40-point lead. The reserve keeper was on.
Yeah, he had Scott Carson in his team for the last few games. But fuck it.
Dobby, you were 12. That's poor showing that.
I did that typical thing. I did that typical thing where I was like pre-season, well up for this. Did about 6 weeks and then completely gave up on it, and I completely forgot. Like we even had a league, to be honest. But I think to reassure everybody, the Euros is only however many weeks long, and I'm pretty sure we've all got the attention span for that. I can definitely last.
If Dobby's
3 or
got the
4
attitude
weeks
to do a Euros fantasy team, then there's no excuse for you, the listener, to also put in your Euro fantasy team.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll get that set up.
God, I want to look at that team. I bet I've got some names that will like. I'll have what's his face from Wolves in still, who was scoring points early on in the season. That Daniel Pedence. I don't think he played after about 20 games.
I would have thought you'd gone.
Yeah, you
for,
did. Yeah, and Jimenez, who fractured his skull in January, is still your striker.
Dobby was hoping for a quick recovery on that front every week.
I'm loyal. I like to stick by my players.
Yeah, no chopping and changing from you. Which
I bet
is,
Stuart Dallas
bad
was in
form
there
for
as well,
Fantasy
though.
League.
And he didn't
Yeah,
give up,
I've got your team now. So you've got Martinez in net, Dallas at right back, Robertson and James as your back three. Then you've got a midfield of Salah, Click, Podence, Grealish, and Calvert-Lewin, Kane, and Jimenez up front. When was Jimenez's last game? He was really not on the ball, Dobby, there.
Grealish missed a good 10 games for me as well. Mateus Click dropped out the lead squad. Yeah, 12's respectable, given that 4 or 5 of them didn't actually play.
Given that I didn't update my team, 12th is respectable. You can claim an
I'll take a
Intertoto
minute.
Cup place off that.
Just consolidation this year. Just ready for next year. Big push.
Good stuff. Right. Well, yeah. As I say, there's more of this gems to come during the Euros. We're going to be putting some episodes together, boys. I think we'll close the bar for tonight. But yeah, like I say, I look forward to seeing you over the next few weeks. Let's enjoy this major championships.
Good stuff, boys. Speak soon. Come on, England. Yeah. It's coming home.
Cheers.
Gents.
It's coming home. If you enjoy this shambles of a football podcast, you can get in touch with myself, Tricey, and Dobby at any of the following addresses on social media. Tricey, what are we on Twitter?
Play out from bar.
So that's at Play Out from Bar. And
yes.
What are we on Instagram?
Playing out from the bar.
Beautiful. And what are we on Facebook?
Playing out from the bar again.
We like to mix it up on this show.
Creative.
And we're also playing out from the bar at gmail.com if you want to send us an email. Anything football related at all. It can be a weird story, a bit like the time when Tricey met Harry Maguire in a Manchester boozer. Anything along those lines, then just send it in and we'll read it out on the show and discuss it. So, cheers.